Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nick Richardson and this is the news. Warsaw, Poland's capital, has probably the largest district heating network in Europe. It covers 8% of the city and delivers heat that is generated by combined heat and power plants, most of which burn hard coal. In 2011, the city sold the entire network to French company Veolia for approximately €350 million. Since then, the network has been poorly maintained. When the more severe winter weather arrived this year, pipes burst, leaving whole districts without heat and hot water.
According
to the information provided by Veolia Energia Warszawa, the district heating owner, the inhabitants of Tyniecka Street in Warsaw are cut off from heat. And this is only one of many failures today. Another failure occurred on the other side of the Vistula River in Praga Północ, in the area of Jagiellonian Street. In total, almost 100 buildings were cut off from the heat supply. The Warsaw heat supply was privatised 10 years ago. Many Warsavians then protested against this decision. Today, the Minister of Climate and Environment appointed a special team for the privatisation of the heating network. We believe that after so many years, Warsavians deserve the answer whether this privatisation, I consider as one of the biggest scandals of the civic platform, was to the benefit of the city. Was it a good deal? The case was inflamed by a statement by one of the councillors of Civic Platform describing the reason for the company's privatisation. The district heating network was privatised before the Euro 2012 football championship. There was no money in the budget to finance all the investment necessary to proceed with the championship. Then the decision was made to sell this company. In addition, the statement of another PO politician clearly shows that the problem is downplayed. If we have a pipe, it might break sometimes. Well, it just breaks. There are pipes and they are bursting, said Dariusz Joński on public television. The city emphasises, however, that the foreign company has been constantly modernising the transmission system for the capital for several years. After the purchase, the company invested over 1,120 million zloty. That makes several dozens of million each year. In turn, another City of Warsaw councillor emphasised that the supervisory board includes a politician associated with the Civic Platform Party and that, for this reason, one should look more closely at the matter. The Warsaw City Council stresses that on Veolia's board there is a Civic Platform politician, and this is the reason to investigate the case. If there is a person connected to Civic Platform in this company, we must ask and demand answers. It is not funny when people are freezing in their own homes. People cannot live like that. In the last 2 years, the inhabitants of Warsaw have often experienced problems related to the functioning of the city's infrastructure. With the advent of the harsh winter, they found out that the reasons for this state of affairs lie in a deeply buried past.
The European Commission negotiated the deliveries of the COVID-19 vaccine to member states with the German and American company Pfizer. Only a few weeks ago, the prospect of a vaccination programme looked bright and certain. However, Pfizer has not stuck to the terms of the agreement and has limited deliveries, explaining that this is due to technical difficulties. Poland has had to update its crucial vaccination programme. The situation was commented on today by, among others, President Andrzej Duda and the Ministry of Health during a question and answer session, and on our station, the President of the Material Reserves Agency, Michał Kościmiarowski.
Ultimately, we contract so that these vaccines will not run out for those who are interested in vaccination. The whole country, all citizens may be sure that they will receive the vaccine and even that it will be waiting for them. We have contracted more doses than there are adult Poles, and usually there are 2 doses per person. Pfizer's delay in deliveries is ruining our immunisation programme, at least this week. The only thing we can be sure of is that we have all the doses needed for the second vaccination. So the vaccinated people have nothing to fear. They'll get the second dose for sure. We plan to start population vaccines from the 25th of January for people over 80 and people in social care homes. At the same time, in the next few days, we will vaccinate doctors and medical personnel from the zero group.
The Ministry of Health has announced that over 500,000 people have had the COVID-19 vaccine. Let's take a look at the latest coronavirus data.
The total number of infections has reached 1,443,804. Yesterday, another 291 people died from COVID-19, including 231 who had additional illnesses. The total number of deaths is now 33,699. The number of new infections seems reasonable, with the Health Ministry noting 4,835 new cases.
Polls are following the continuing drama in Great Britain, where a Polish family is watching over the bed of a relative who was deemed unfit for treatment. For 5 days now, the hospital authorities and the courts have deprived this man of food and water. Part of his family wants him to go to Poland, to which British authorities do not agree. Meanwhile, Archbishop Stanisław Gadecki has asked his English counterpart to intervene.
For 5 days now, Mr. Sławomir has been denied food and water. His case was even discussed by the UK ambassador to Poland and one of the senior officials in the Polish President's Chancellery, Minister Krzysztof Szczerski. Today I had a long conversation with the British ambassador at Anna Clunes about the case of our compatriot. I must admit that the conversation was difficult. I also talked to the Polish ambassador in London. I am constantly in touch with the Polish consuls who are in Plymouth.
22 years ago, pursuant to the Act of December the 18th, 1998, the Institute of National Remembrance was established. Its tasks include primarily collecting and managing the documents of the state security organs from during the communist period and conducting investigations into Nazi and communist crimes. Dr. Jarosław Szarek has been the president of the Institute of National Remembrance since July 2016.
The Institute of National Remembrance has revolutionised the way history is researched.
Instytut Pamięci Narodowej powstał.
The Institute of National Remembrance was established 20 years ago to take over the archives of the Communist Security Service, to take over research and popularise this knowledge, to face the many lies left behind by the communist system, break with this totalitarian legacy, and thus strengthen the national identity.
Wzmocnić tożsamość narodową.
Instytut Pamięci Narodowej jest po to, żeby...
The Institute of National Remembrance is there to commemorate, to remind us about the heroism of our nation and to tell the world about it. But we are also here to clarify history and boldly talk about difficult topics.
Światu, ale też, żeby odkłamywać historię.
The beginnings of the Institute were not easy and its founders struggled with many adversities.
Instytut Pamięci Narodowej.
The Institute of National Remembrance was an unwanted institution. Many did not want such an institution, mainly communist circles, but also that part of the Solidarity camp that did not want to face this difficult truth that was left behind by the archives of the communist secret police.
Część obozu solidarnościowego.
W ciągu tych wielu lat istnienia.
During these years of the existence of the Institute of National Remembrance, it can be said today that the forces that first opposed the establishment of the Institute of National Remembrance and then wanted to discredit it did not win. On the contrary, it can be said that the Institute of National Remembrance is perceived as one of the few institutions which, because of its emergence after the fall of communism, was not burdened with it.
Jako jedna z nielicznych instytucji.
Expanding the archive and fighting for development. This is how employers recall the activities of Janusz Kurtyka, the president of the National Institute of Remembrance from 2005 to 2010. His activity was a milestone in the development of this institution.
Praca z prezesem Januszem Kurtyką.
Working with the chairman, Janusz Kurtyka, was a challenge. It was an amazing time. Back then, a lot of important things for the archive happened. Milestones.
W tamtym czasie wydarzyły się takie milowe kroki.
Instytut Pamięci Narodowej.
The Institute of National Remembrance has radically changed in terms of empowerment and playing an important role in the period of Professor Janusz Kurtyka. The years 2005 to 2010 are the best and the greatest period of this institution.
Urzędu Prezesa.
The IPN archive contains over 72 million structured catalogues that are available to almost everyone.
That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.